In today's video, we'll be making ourselves a wee dram of Irish coffee. Today we're doing something special because I do have a Thirsty Thursday video for St. Patrick's Day. And what I did is I actually researched and I found 3 different recipes for Irish coffee. Irish coffee should be really simple, but I'm still going to be measuring it out because I'm going to be doing a taste test. And I want to make sure that I'm fair to all the ingredients. Now, the first time I was ever exposed to Irish coffee was when I was just a little kid. I didn't fully understand what it was, but I was watching the Disney movie, The Love Bug. And in that movie, Buddy Hackett, he plays the mechanic, and he makes Irish coffee. And then someone, I don't remember if it was him or if it was a villain in the movie, I'll have to watch that movie again, took the Irish coffee and poured it in the gas tank of Herbie the Love Bug. And of course, Herbie got drunk and they was spitting the cream all over the place, and I guess it was funny. I just don't really know that I understood the context because I didn't really know what Irish coffee is, but I do now. So here's what we're going to be using. I'm telling you all the ingredients, and this is going to be for, as I said, 3 different versions. So of course, we're going to start with some, oh, this is really nice and hot, some hot, fresh coffee. We're going to be using Irish whiskey. We'll be using maple syrup, brown sugar, Irish cream liqueur, and whipped cream. Now, I suppose if you wanted to be a real purist, you could, whip your own cream from heavy cream. I don't feel that ambitious, so I'm just going to use store-bought whipped cream. Also, I have reduced all of these recipes because I didn't want to end up with 3 big glasses of Irish coffee, and then, each one uses a substantial amount of whiskey. So I wasn't going to do that. So instead, we're going to half the recipe. So everything that I do here, if you want to make a full glass of Irish coffee, you will do this by doubling everything that I do for this recipe. So let's get started with the first one. By the way, I wrote these down because I had to do a little bit of math and I knew I'd never remember it. So the first thing we're going to do with each one of these, to make it fair, we're going to always start with 3 ounces of fresh brewed coffee. So, and I am realizing it's kind of hard to pour out of a decanter like this because it's hot and it doesn't have a handle to grab onto. So there we go. There's 3 ounces of coffee. The next thing we're going to do for this is 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. Now, maple syrup has, it's got strong sweetness to it, and also has that maple flavor. So I'm sure this is going to taste a little different than the next one we do. Okay, so there is my teaspoon of maple syrup. I'll set that aside. And 3/4 ounce of our Irish whiskey. Quarter ounce. All right, and I'm going to give that just a little bit of a stir, and I'm going to make the second one, and then I'm going to add the cream, and then I'm going to taste test these 2. So the next one I'm going to make, we're going to do the exact same recipe. The only thing that's going to change is our sweetener. So I'm going to add, or start with 3 ounces of coffee. And then we're going to add a half tablespoon of brown sugar. Of course, if you're doing this recipe, you'll be using a full tablespoon of brown sugar. And then we're going to use, once again, our 3/4 ounce of Irish whiskey. You might be saying, Mark, 3/4 ounce, that's not much. But remember, this is a half recipe. So that's basically going to be a full jigger of Irish whiskey. Okay, so this is the one that had the brown sugar. And boy, you can tell the color. That's you probably can't tell it on camera, but it's a little lighter in color. And then the last one we're going to do, once again, 3 ounces of coffee. I hope I have enough coffee. I have more coffee off to the side if I need more, but this might be just enough. Oh, look at that, perfect. So there we have our 3 ounces of coffee. Oh, I need this back. And then we're going to use 1 ounce of Irish cream. This one's going to be substantially different. Now, remember, Irish cream already has Irish whiskey in it. So as a result of that, we're going to be adding less whiskey. And this is only going to have 1/2 ounce of whiskey, because the Bailey's has some whiskey and some alcohol in it. So we're going to add that. And then we're going to give that a little stir. All right. And now we're going to top each of these with some whipped cream. Just spun out of whipped cream. There we go. And you can see they look different. This has a real dark, rich coffee look. This is pretty similar, but it's a little lighter, and that whipped cream is already starting to infuse into it. And this is very light in color because that's made of the Bailey's. So let's do the taste test. Very good. This is the one with the maple syrup. It's sweet, but not overly sweet. You certainly taste the Irish whiskey. This is good. This is really a flavorful drink. Now let's taste the one that has the brown sugar. This tastes sweeter. This has I don't know, just a better flavor. Probably, I guess they're both natural sweeteners. I don't know. This is made out of, probably sugar cane, and this is made out of maple syrup. I prefer the maple syrup. And I wish I could describe, how the palate differentiates between the two. I think what happens is this allows more of the pure whiskey to come through, and yet you get the sweetness. It's smoother. I would say this is smoother. This has a little bit of a bite to it. Now let's try the Bailey's. Well, of course, Bailey's has different things in it. For example, it has chocolate. So we're getting a little bit of the chocolatey taste. Actually, I would say Bailey's also has coffee in it, or at least the Irish cream that I use has a little bit of coffee flavoring. So I would say this almost tastes like warm Bailey's Irish cream. So if you like that, you might like this one. Personally, I like the one that just used the smaller amount of maple syrup. I think all the flavors come through. You're tasting the coffee, you're tasting the whiskey, you're tasting the sweetness, and it just isn't quite as harsh. It's smoother. So if I was going to make Irish coffee, I would use the recipe, of course, double it. So you'll end up with, roughly 8 ounces of coffee. And that would look really good in a full cup like this, wouldn't it? I mean, that would look fantastic. But I would use the maple syrup. I think it has a much smoother taste, a richer taste. You're not losing the Irish coffee. And here you are totally losing the Irish coffee flavor. You're losing that Irish whiskey. This would be, I would not even consider doing that. This isn't bad. If you don't have maple, and I wouldn't use a cheap off-brand syrup. I would use a good quality, genuine maple syrup. 100% maple syrup. That's really what you want to use. This isn't bad. So, all else being equal, if you can't find the maple syrup, use brown sugar. It isn't bad, but this is it. This is really what we want. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Drink responsibly. Don't go crazy on St. Patrick's Day because you want to wake up the next morning feeling better than you did the night before, right? I hope you have a good time. But I'll tell you what, I don't know that I would start my day with this, but if you want just a little bit of Irish for the holiday season, you can do a lot worse than having a little bit of Irish coffee. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope we see you back here next week on Thirsty Thursday, or maybe even a few days earlier for our Florida Living videos on Tuesdays. As always, I encourage you to like and share the videos. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe by clicking my face in the corner, and don't forget to ring that bell icon. That way you'll know when I post new videos. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mark, and this is the Average Me Channel. Make Irish Queen. So if I was going to make Irish cream